Hi everyone and welcome back. We're live here at the Guidewell Connect Insights Lounge. My name is Kate Warnock and we're at day 2 of AHIP Institute and Expo. I have a wonderful guest joining us. Please say hello to Jennifer Schneider.
Hi Kate, thank you so much for having me.
Jennifer, you are Chief Medical Officer for Livongo Health. You know, Jennifer, familiar with your company, got to speak with Glenn Tolman a couple times.
Sure.
And I was hoping you could maybe provide a little bit more insights for us in your role. What's the path for adoption with a user who may not be tech savvy, but needs to use an app several times a day to be effective, like Livongo?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so Livongo is interesting, right, in that what we offer is we actually offer, the core of what we're doing is starting with a connected blood glucose meter. So we're not asking members to do anything different from what they routinely do today.
Okay.
Right, and so there's not a learning, there's not a new initiation or behavior that we're asking them to do. We're taking their existing behavior, which is put a strip in the end of the meter, but providing value out of that. So we're not changing or asking for new behavior in order to get the value.
And obviously you took the time to really study the use case, study the member, and really try to integrate in as frictionless a way as possible so that you had more adoption.
That's right, and I think that the broader answer to your question is really understanding the member, understanding what the hassles are, and removing those. Right? Don't ask people to do more. People don't want to do more. People with chronic conditions don't want to have to do extra work. They want to improve their outcomes without doing more. So how can you do that? How can we solve for that?
You know, and I think too, it speaks to the fact that so many people with chronic conditions don't want to be seen. They don't want to have to spend more time addressing that chronic condition than normal. They're humans. They want to move forward with their lives, and so obviously that seamless integration into that care delivery is just the way to go.
And frankly, that's where our name came from, right? Our name, Livongo, really comes from the fact that we interviewed a bunch of people with diabetes and asked them what were pain points for their life, and they said, hey, look, don't make us do more. We have this, but we want to live on the go. Right. There you go, our name.
Live on the go. There you go. You heard it here. Okay. All right, Jennifer, what's the future hold for digital health providers as more apps compete for mind share, which we're certainly seeing, and will we begin to see more platforms combine point solutions?
Yeah, so I'll take the latter half first.
Okay.
So for sure, we need to combine point solutions, right? So for those of us living with a chronic condition, and I have type 1 diabetes and I have had for 30 years, we have other conditions, right? We don't think of ourselves as an individual person with an individual component. We are people, and so the platform and the ability to combine point solutions is critical to the future of digital healthcare technology, for sure. Right. In terms of seeing whether or not the apps are going to compete, I think ultimately the goal is to provide real value to the end user. So who is the user, who's the consumer that you're trying to reach, and who's the purchaser? And the more value that you can provide, the more sustainability you have. So for us, in our position, I think about the value that we give to the end user, the end member, and that's about improving their health, making their life more simple, right? Improving their A1C, making their life with diabetes easier. I also think about the person who purchases Livongo, right, and making sure that we're driving real value for them in terms of an economic return on investment. And we're seeing that as well in our business.
Terrific. All right. Yep. So with your master's degree in health services research, I checked up on you a bit.
I'm impressed.
You are very impressive. You likely have an even greater appreciation for the potential of big data. We've had so many of our guests speak to big data and how transformative it's going to be in the industry. And here you have a master's degree in health services research. Let me ask you, will one plan's use of data make it more competitive than another plan, all other things being equal?
Yeah. So I love that you called me out a geeky doctor, which is I am, a doc who likes numbers, very true.
Yes.
I think that the answer here is not just in the amount of data that you collect, which is the phrase, the coin term, big data, but it's in how you apply that, right? And so I love the idea of bite-sized actionable data much more than the buzzword of big data, because at the end of the day, the use of the data is really only intended to drive behavior change. So you can have as much data as you want, you can combine it in as many fancy algorithms as you can, but unless you're giving it and delivering it in a bite-sized consumable fashion, it's pretty worthless, right?
Right. So it's all about context,
It's all about context.
Right, and how you can move that needle forward. So I have to ask you, it's so lovely we've had a number of women executives here at the Insights Lounge at AHIP, and I'm so proud that the industry is really moving in that direction with more women in leader roles. But any words of advice for women in health tech and their male peers who want to build solutions that support diverse populations.
Yeah. Well, I think that the words of wisdom are independent of gender, race, sexual orientation, political affiliation, but it's really around understanding your user. So there needs to be a tremendous amount of time, effort, and energy that is spent on understanding the individual population. So if it's a diverse population, you can't think of somebody as just people with diabetes. People with diabetes come in all flavors, right? They come in different genders, different ages, different geographic locations, different parts of their journey. And in order to drive change and drive impact is really developing the unique understanding of that individual user. As those of us in healthcare technology develop products, I think oftentimes we get really excited about the new release and the new idea and forget to come back that we have to spend a lot of time with those people to whom we're delivering this service, and that's the only way to really build an effective product.
And it's not a one-size-fits-all.
It is definitely not a one-size-fits-all.
Well beyond that.
Well beyond that. And it's not even a one-size-fits-100, right? The goal of personalization is to develop till you hit an N of 1, so that I am developing something specific to you, Kate, who loves to wear navy blue, who has green eyes, blonde hair, the whole kit and caboodle. So the more that we can do that, the more we can drive and impact behavior change.
Well, it's an exciting time to be in this industry, isn't
It
it?
is. It sure is.
Yeah. All right, Jennifer, well, thank you so much for your time spending with us here at the Guy Will Connect Insights Lounge. We are going to be up with another interview. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.
All right.